Let's see how we can enable a feature search in a web map in ArcGIS Online using the ArcGIS API for Python. Open up the enable search.py script from the web map settings folder. Up top from ArcGIS.features, we are importing the feature layer class. We're also importing the JSON module from the standard Python library so we can print our definition to screen in a more readable fashion. We're going to use the item object getData method to return the Web Map JSON definition as a dictionary. We first access ArcGIS Online. We then use the content manager get method and supply in our Web Map item ID, which I'll paste in now for my notepad. The get method returns an item object which will assign to a variable called Web Map item. We're then going to use the item object for our Web Map item and call the getData method to access and retrieve the JSON definition for our web map as a dictionary, which will assign to a variable called Web Map item data. First up, we are going to print the definition to screen. So let's do that now. I'll scroll up the top and let's take a moment to assess our current definition. We have our authoring app, which is our API for Python, and the version is 2.4.0 that I'm using at the moment. We have our base map. It is our grey base layer. And we have renamed it to my base map title earlier on in this course. We don't have any bookmarks, and we updated the extent, which is the initial state, earlier on in this section. Now we have our operational layers, which is a list. First entry should be our county boundaries. We scroll down a bit, we can see the fields for our county boundaries, and these are going to form part of our search. We can see that layer comes from our county boundaries. You can see the proper title there as it is displayed in our web map. Next, we have our group layer for our NPWS. Our group layer has its own layers property, which is a list that contains each of those 4 layers in our map. And if I scroll down until, I scrolled too far. We have our layer type, it is a group layer. And then we have our NIAH layer. You can see for a layer that is not a group layer, it has ArcGIS feature layer as the layer type. And we're going to be using these properties to grab the information we need to create our search definition. We've reached the end and we can see that there is no property in there that defines the definition for our search capabilities. We're going to add an application properties property and then some sub-properties of that application properties property. This will allow us to enable search on the map, and within our script we are going to define what we want to be able to search for. Before continuing, I'll just pop on over to ArcGIS Online. Here we have the current state of our web map. If I click search over here on the right hand side, we don't have any drop down to search a specific map. If I typed in a county in Ireland, such as Kildare, it will bring me to Kildare in Ireland based on the address functionality that is in ArcGIS Online. We're going to update this functionality using the ArcGIS API for Python. If I go back to the home page for the web map and click into settings, you can see search is already enabled and it is search by address. We're going to enable search by layer, and we're going to have a whole heap of entries in here for all our layers if the field is a text or an integer value. So let's head back to PyScripter. We create a function here to get the search info. Search info is a dictionary, so each entry in the search capabilities will be a dictionary defining the ID for the layer in the web map, and then the field name, whether we want to have an exact match when we're searching, and then the field type. Our get search info takes in 2 parameters, a feature layer object and a layer dictionary from our web map. For each field in the feature layer, if it is a string or an integer, we'll create a search dictionary for that field. I'm going to comment out our print web map item data and open up our example. talk through it. We're going to create a list for our search layers. So each dictionary from our get search info will be added to this list. We're going to iterate through the web map layers. So for each layer in our web map item data operational layers, so for each layer in our web map, if the layer type is a group layer, we need to iterate over each layer in the group layer. So for each group layer in the group layer layers, we're going to create a feature layer object, and we're going to send that into the get search info function. The get search info function will iterate over the fields, and if it is a text field or an integer, it'll create a search dictionary and add it to the search layers list. For layers outside of the group layer, we do the exact same thing. Now we have all our search layer dictionaries. We need to create the JSON that defines the search capability within a web map. Here we create a dictionary. We have an enabled property that we set to true, that search is enabled. We have disabled place finder. We have hint text as search here. The layers that make up our search are our search layers dictionary from our search layers list. And we're not searching any tables. We saw from our current JSON definition, we did not have an application properties property. So if this property is not in our web map item data, which it isn't, we're going to create it. So for our web map item data dictionary, we're creating a property or a key called application properties. We'll set that to equal its own dictionary. We have one entry in that dictionary, viewing, that we set as an empty dictionary. It is in this empty dictionary we are going to set the search capabilities. So here we're accessing our web map definition, the newly created application properties property, which has a viewing property, and we're going to add a search entry and set that search to equal our search dictionary above here. I'm just going to comment out below here, and we're going to run this up to this point and print the updated web map item data or JSON definition to screen. I'll clear the output down here first and run the script. I scroll back up the top. We have all the information that we've seen previously, our operational layers. If we scroll down, we will hit a new property called application properties. And we can see here we have our viewing entry that has our search. We have enabled as true, disabled place finder, hint text, and then our layers. And we can see here each search dictionary that we created. This is for our county boundaries where the name is county. We can also search it by province and so forth for our NPWS and our NIAH entries. Now we need to apply that to the definition to commit the change and enable our search. I'll comment out our print function and open up the last bit of this script. Here we're creating a dictionary called item properties with a key of text and a value of our updated web map item data variable. We update our item object using the update method, supplying in our item properties dictionary above as the item properties parameter. We'll assign the calling of the update method to variable called status and print status to screen. If we have returned true, the update was successful. Now just before running, I want to let you know over at this link here for the web map specification, you can check out the application properties, which has the viewing property and then the search for more information. For now, I'm going to run this script. Our script is complete. Let's head over to ArcGIS Online and check out the result. You can see here our current application settings for our search. We'll do a refresh. I'll scroll down and we can see our updated search capabilities by layer. For our county boundaries, we have our county and our province. And for our NPWS entries, we have site code and site name for both. And we have the registration number for our NIAH. I'll open up the map viewer And over the right hand side, when I click search, you can see we have this drop down here on the left, and I can search by our individual search capabilities. If I type in Kildare, we can see here from the county boundaries layer for County Kildare, select that, and it selects it in the map. In this video, we saw how we could manipulate the Web Map JSON definition to enhance the search capabilities of the web map.